Welcome to the Shot Clock, where we're talking sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Mina SayWhat, and we're 100% digital, 100% live, and 100% real. Let's count them down. Welcome to the Shot Clock. It's our digital sports show. I'm Mina SayWhat. I am your host. Another Monday, another week. Happy to be here. You know we're going to talk sports. I got my brother Sean Bell, Fox 29 sportscaster and podcaster, joining me. Hey, boo.
What up? What up? How you feeling?
I can't complain, man. It's we didn't talk last week, but it's been a difficult 2 weeks with like DMX passing away, and then Black Rob, and it's just a lot with everything going on in the world, and the pandemic and getting vaccines. It's a lot.
It's a struggle. I mean, 2021 isn't 2020, but it's up there. So, a lot of issues that we got to get through.
Yeah, let's get to some sports issues. I'm putting us on a shot clock. That's the whole point of the game. We're gonna try to keep it within the time limit here. Let's get into the playbook. This is where we talk about our top Philly stories, sports stories. Joel Embiid, big story this week, still thinks he can be the MVP despite being out 10 games with a leg injury. Joel said he still believes that he is a viable candidate to be the MVP. The reason why, he said his team is first in the East. The numbers speak for themselves. We're not just talking about on the offensive side, but we're also talking about the defensive side of the game. If you actually go through all the numbers, some could say I could be deserving of the defensive player of the year. This is interesting that he said this, because we know this was Ben's lane, right? This is what Ben was campaigning for. Do you think that with how he's been playing, Sean, Joel can still be the MVP this year?
No way, no how. No way, no how. Yes, he's the most talented player out there, but it's not like he missed 6 games, 7 games, or even 10 games, like you said. He's missed 18 games so far.
He missed total
of 18 games. All right, it's a 72-game season. So you miss 18 games, and you still have about a month left, another 15 games. If you're not going to play back-to-backs because of your injury history. So you're probably going to miss at least 20 games. So 52 games out of 72, that's never going to cut it. You can't miss that much time, especially when you had Jokic over there in Denver. Jokic is top 10 in points, rebounds, and assists. 26 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists a game. You saw the GOAT, Doris Burke. You heard what she said. Stick to it right now. And Jokic has played every game this year.
Okay. I'm going to go with Don Staley, right? Don said, and you weren't on this podcast. You want to quote Doris, right? I'm going to go with what Dawn said. And she said that people should be judged on what they're contributing on the court, right? And to be honest, when we were talking about this the first time, I kind of felt like if Joel came back from his injury and was killing it, I felt like he would still be in that conversation. And I think the same thing right now. This is not a regular season. There's been people out for not only just injury, but COVID reasons, so many different reasons. I know, but when you think about the pool, Sean, pool that we will be pulling from, right? Giannis injured, LeBron injured, Curry injured, James Harden injured, Joel Embiid injured.
Not Jokic.
So what? We're just gonna give him the MVP by default because he's been healthy? Come on.
Did you hear what I said? Is Joel top 10 in points, rebounds, and assists? This is not a default situation. Like Jokic has been. And listen, here's what knocks Joel also. They have a winning record when he's out. All right, so you want to talk about valuable. They balled out and won games because Tobias has been balling out when Joel has been sitting his butt on the bench.
Well, I get that, Sean, but I also think that, Joel has this presence inside of the paint, right? And a lot of the MVP is about perception, right? Yes, people look at scoring and they look at the stats, but a lot of it is perception, right? Who's saying you should get what? That definitely factors into it. The campaign, who's campaigning for you, right? When people are going inside of the paint, people are not worried about the Joker. They're not scared of him. They're scared of Joel. And not only that, but I just feel like Joel is advocating for himself a lot more. And I feel like people around him are advocating for him. And it's, the Joker isn't necessarily known for his defensive prowess here,
Okay, but that's
so
true.
I get what you're saying. I just feel like I get what you're saying, but I just feel like people are giving it to him because it's a default situation.
It's not default. He's putting up historic numbers. And let me say this, Mina. What's your best ability?
Mine, personally?
In general, availability. Your best ability is availability. If I can't count on you,
oh my God.
If you have a boyfriend who's only there 60% of the time, is he gonna win the boyfriend award? No. You're gonna get put to the curb. Give me the guy who's there 99% of the time.
I guess, Sean, I get it. I'm on the Joel Embiid train for this, to be honest with you. You talk about historic. Joel's the first 76ers player with 3 straight 35-point games since Allen Iverson. He did that in 2006. Like, for us here, yeah, he was out a couple of games, but he's balling right now, Sean. Like,
listen, if he played even 60 games this season, I would hand it to him. But you can't miss 20 games of a 72-game season.
All right. We'll see what happens, Sean. Okay.
You're not happy with me right now.
I'm not, but I get what you're saying. I just think that we're giving it to him by default because all the other candidates are injured. And I just think this is a different season. And I think we need to take that into consideration. But you're absolutely right. Even with the current season, the Joker's been there. And he's been consistent and he's been contributing to his team. And I get why you're saying that. I just feel like Joel right now deserves a chance to be in that conversation because he's definitely balling.
I got you.
All right, moving on. The Philadelphia Eagles, the players, have announced that they're going to skip voluntary workouts. The Players Union for the Eagles released a statement over the weekend, and this is what they had to say. They said, "We believe in the solidarity of the players across the NFL and using our collective voice to stand up for each other and what's right. Our teammates have come together to make a decision as a team to what's best for us this offseason. We have shared and talked about the facts from our union, and our players will not be attending in-person voluntary workouts." Now, I could have sworn voluntary means you don't have to do it if you don't want to. So I don't get this statement, but the Eagles are actually joining at least 18 other NFL teams that issued similar statements. And this is coming off the heels of the NFL and the league announcing that we're going to have full capacity games this upcoming season. What do you think is going on behind the scenes, Sean?
Well, yeah, first of all, voluntary. No, it's not voluntary because coaches get pissed off if players don't show up to voluntary workouts. Okay, you have to have a real reason not to show up for coaches not to knock you and get pissed off. So that's BS as is. But it's good for the players. I mean, the players have the weakest union in sports, right? Like they're the only ones that don't have guaranteed contract. They have the least say so when it comes to doing social issues. They have the least say so when it comes to dealing with numbers and marketing and et cetera with the NFL. The NFL dominates. So it's good for the players to say, listen, health wise with COVID, health wise for our bodies, we don't need these voluntary workouts. This isn't back in the 1920s where you play football, then you're a garbage man. Okay, no, you can work out all year long, stay in shape, stay right, and they need to do what's best for their bodies and what's best for their health during this COVID situation.
I also think the league has sent a clear message that it's about money, right? And they don't care. I mean, you've mentioned that plenty of times. They don't care about really what's going on. So I think this is the players' first attempt as a collective to really stand up to that and say, look, our health is involved. The health of our families are involved because we have to go home, to our kids and our significant others. So I think that this is the start of us really starting to see the players push back. And that's just what I gather from this, because I feel like it's a big collective, right? So there's a reason why they're all coming together and presenting this united front. It's not a couple of players. I think they want to make a stand and they're trying to maybe have a little bit more say, because it's about to get crazy when you let all the fans into the stadium, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of people. So yeah. We'll see how this plays out. Moving forward, Michael Jordan will present the late Kobe Bryant into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Here's a look at who else is being inducted. It's no surprise here. Jordan served as Kobe's mentor. He said that Kobe is the only person that's really capable of beating him one-on-one. So that only makes sense. He also spoke at Kobe's memorial service last year. He talked about how close those two were. Now, Jordan is presenting two people. We see right there Kobe Bryant, Kim Mulkey. She's the head coach for Baylor. We see our girl Dawn. That's why I mentioned Dawn. I'm setting it up. I always want to call her Staley because of the rapper, Stali, because of the rapper. But Staley, I always mess up her last name. But our girl Dawn is going to be inducting Tamika as well, who played for the WNBA. It's nice to see Kevin Durant and Tim Duncan on this, right, Sean?
Yeah. Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan. This is the greatest Hall of Fame class of all time. To me, it's not even close.
Oh.
Kobe, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Tamika Catchings.
You want to say Durant too, right?
Nah, see, you got to mix me up there. But it's the greatest Hall of Fame class. And, after seeing Michael Jordan and Kobe's, because no one really knew they had the close relationship that they really did until Kobe passing away and Michael Jordan making those comments. So it's going to be great to hear what he has to say, maybe some more insight, more stories about him and Kobe's relationship. It's only right. You know what I mean? Like he said before, big brother, little brother. They actually had that type of relationship in real life outside of basketball. So who else? The mentor bringing in the mentee, right? And these guys are synonymous. Like they have the same game, right? So it's just going to be beautiful to see. It's going to bring tears, I know, to my eyes and a lot of people's eyes just to even watch that. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to watch the whole thing at first without tears. So it's going to be a beautiful situation.
Yeah, well, the induction ceremony is going to take place on May 15th. That is the playbook. Let's get in our word from one of our sponsors.
We've seen how far this game can go, so we take it and run.
Making moves like nobody.
For everybody.
We don't move within the lines.
We move beyond them. Hennessy, the spirit of the NBA.
We are right on time, Sean.
Ooh, that's a first.
Right. It's the shot clock. I'm trying to get better here. I'm your host, Mina SayWhat, Sean Bell, my brother, Fox 29 sportscaster and podcaster. He's like my real brother because in real life, we just always have opposite opinions and we're always like going back and forth.
I know, and I'm always right. It's crazy.
Whatever. Someone agrees with me. One person. So look, we're starting this thing called the water cooler talk. This is basically where we talk about what people are talking about, what would be the water cooler, even though the water cooler is kind of non-existent during COVID.
Yeah, don't come around me no more.
I'm not getting no water with no one, okay? Yeah. But we talk about stuff that goes on social media a lot, but how about things that people are just having a conversation about, right? So that's what this is. I really wanted to talk about the Buffalo Bills requiring a vaccine passport for fans. Now, this is a very bold move. The Bills said all fans will have to have the COVID-19 vaccine before they get a chance to sit in the stadium. Obviously, we talked about this earlier. This comes after the league announced full capacity this upcoming season. The Packers are thinking about doing the same. Sean, is it fair to require fans to take a vaccine just to attend a sporting event?
See, I am Mr. Vaccine. I'm fully vaccinated, but I'm on the fence in regards to this. Like, thank you. Because listen, a lot of people complain and you have to go to high school, college, grad school. Like you have to have all these shots in order to get into school. So that type of concept isn't brand new. This is something that everyone has had to do throughout their lives, even if they want to go to school. But this seems like a sort of a different situation just because there's some nuances, right? Like I know people who are pregnant who can't get vaccinated or won't get vaccinated because they haven't fully had tests yet to test pregnant women, right? So there's some nuances there in regards to testing. What are you going to do with kids who are 15 and want to go to the game, right? Like the kids don't get vaccines yet, right? And they haven't even done the studies really to figure that out. Maybe they're doing it now and I don't know, but what do you do with kids? What do you do with outliers, people who may be in early pregnancy, things of that nature? So it's a nuanced thing, and I'm not fully on board with it yet, although I'm fully on board with vaccinations.
I understand where you're coming from but I don't have a problem with it. But now that you kind of pose that, now I am thinking, well, How about pregnant women? How about kids? But I think in general, it's very scary to think of how large some of these stadiums are. I mean, the Buffalo Bills, their stadium is 71,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about 71,000 people being in one place.
Mm-hmm.
If one person is infected, that's an outbreak. You know, I think it's very dangerous to go from nothing to 71,000 people. I mean, I know that every stadium was different. Every organization was different throughout the pandemic, but the Buffalo Bills are in New York. New York was hit first and hard. They didn't have any fans, right? So to go from 0 to 71,000, that thought alone is very shocking, right? So this is a proactive way to try to assimilate to what's going on. But then a lot of people will say, well, it infringes on my rights, you know, but I just think in general, you don't have to attend a sporting event. That's a recreational thing. It's a choice, right? So if you don't want to get the vaccine, don't go.
Yeah,
Watch it on TV.
It's a private business that can do what they want in certain situations, and you can have a problem with it or not, but you don't have to go. But I do want to read some of I haven't been able to. I don't know if they put it out. Some of the rules under it, because I'm sure there had to be some exceptions or some rules when it comes to them. You know what I mean? They're not going to be like, no, your kid can't come. So there has to be some type of rules, and I want to read it before I fully comment on that aspect.
But I think this is very innovative. I don't mind going to the game, swiping my ticket, and then swiping my electronic vaccination passport. I mean, the state is the first state to roll it out. So I think it's pretty cool that the Buffalo Bills are working with, you know, the state in conjunction with them to try to get this done, to try to push the vaccine. But I also, you know, they wanted to think about, you're requiring players to do it, but how about your staff? Right? Because
I assume they are.
Yeah, the quarterback, Josh Allen, said he's thinking about or debating about whether he's getting the vaccine. If anyone is more susceptible to getting COVID, it's probably going to be the players that are traveling from city to city, state to state. They're not in a quarantine situation. They might be playing down in Florida where, you know, they're not going to require any vaccine passports. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, I think it's cool that you require the fans to do it, but how about the players and the staff? Is that going to trickle down that way?
Well, they can't require their players to do it based on a player union, right? Like the Buffalo Bills can do their stadium and their personal business, but they can't require players, even though the players work for their business, because of the player union. So that's a whole other fight right there. So.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on this. Definitely very interesting. Okay. Let's get into what's trending. This is where we talk about what people are talking about on social media, not in real life. And this weekend, big talk was YouTuber and social media celebrity turned professional boxer Jake Paul knocking out Ben Askren. Now, Ben is a former MMA world champion, right? So this was like a bona fide fight. Jake knocked out Ben in the first round. And this is what I mean by bona fide fight, Sean, because it was actually scheduled. It was a scheduled 8-round fight on Triller. It was pay-per-view. They had an all-star performance lineup. Doja Cat, Sweetie, Justin Bieber. They had Snoop Dogg and Oscar de la Hoya, the boxing legend, commentating. It looked official. It really did. Let's watch the knockout real quick. Check this out. So the ref asked Ben to walk and he stumbled and they called the fight. They're saying this is rigged. Can you believe a YouTuber is actually like professionally boxing at this point, Sean?
Listen, I'm not going to say this is fixed, but it had all the optics of a fixed fight. Okay. Like, I think Jake Paul can fight, right? Like, he can fight better than the normal person because he's actually taken boxing lessons and been in the ring, right? But Ben Askren, I don't want to get too sports technical, but in the first 15 seconds, you let a guy who only throws the overhand right throw it twice and then connect on the second time, right? And then not even put your guard up for the overhand right. Are you kidding me? Right? So and then after the fight, you saw him walking down the tunnel, smiling and laughing and hugging his wife.
Listen,
right? So who gets knocked out like that can't fight anymore, but is smiling and laughing. Why? Because he just got $500,000, and MMA doesn't really pay, but boxing does pay, especially these trick events. So he got $500,000 for 20 seconds of work. And again, everything about this looked fixed. I'm sorry, like I can't take it serious. Like Jake Paul is still a real boxer. Again, I think he can box better than any normal average person or average athlete, but he can't fight a real fighter. Look at Ben Askren's career in the MMA and who he got hit by and stood up to. Now all of a sudden you can't take an overhand right that you knew was coming.
Well, when that check cashes,
that's all he cares about.
That was a big bag.
That's all he cares
said, "You want me to lie down and play dead? Exactly. I'm gonna lie down and play dead."
Go ahead, hit me, Jake.
Well, Jake was saying people were saying that Jake is not a real fighter because he hasn't fought a bona fide fighter. So he's fought one now. So we'll see.
He hasn't fought a boxer.
We'll see.
You haven't had a boxing career yet because you have, but this is the new thing, celebrity boxing. So, you know, he's going to make a lot of money off of this picking fights and fighting whoever he, you know what I mean? Whoever he knows he can beat or knows who'll take a fall and make a lot of money off of it. But I'm never going to watch.
Okay. Let's get into our plays this week. Our Sixers got a little schedule. We'll see how Joel does to try to further convince Sean that he deserves to be the MVP. What are we thinking from these sets of games, Sean?
Well, like we said, does he play in back-to-backs? He got the Suns and then the Bucks in back-to-back days. Did Joel play that? Mm-hmm. This is the problem why he probably won't win the MVP. So it's a tough schedule. The Bucks twice, the Suns, the Warriors. Steph Curry's probably going to drop 48 points in a loss, but I love to see it. It's looking like 2-2, but again, because I never know who's playing in these games anymore. And again, Steph Curry twisted his ankle, so he might not even play in this game on Saturday. So he might not play in this one. So that'll be an easy win. The rest of the games, who knows? So I think it's going to be 2-2, but that depends on if Joel plays in that Thursday game. If he doesn't, then I got 2-2, if not 3-1. Right. If he does play 3-1.
Well, I look forward to Joel dropping another 35 points so that Sean could change his opinion and ride with our guy. Thank you for watching the Shot Clock, Sean Bell. I appreciate you. I'm Mina SayWhat, and make sure you check us out every Monday, 12 o'clock, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Twitter, the Shot Clock, right here on @R&B Philly. Talk to you next week. Thanks for watching The Shot Clock. I'm your host, Mina SayWhat, and you got something you want to talk about next week? You can always hit me up on social media @Mina SayWhat, and make sure you join us 12 o'clock next Monday on R&B Philly's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. We'll see you then.